Welcome to the Stirring the Gumbo Pot podcast, the podcast about the history, the culture, and the accomplishments of Black people. This podcast aims to inspire, educate, empower, and celebrate the lives of Black folk. I am your host, the Cajun Peach, and thank you for tuning in. Now let's get this pot stirring. Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining me for episode 2 of season 2 of the Stirring the Gumbo Pot podcast. Today, I am again joined by Ms. Valerie Jefferson, the president of the Women of Action of the Amalgamated Transit Union in New Orleans, Louisiana, the caucus in New Orleans, Louisiana. And so I am sponsoring a 4-part series because we are dedicating and honoring women for Women's History Month this month. And so season 2 kicks off with my dedication to women, Black women, for all people interested in that. And so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Valerie, and Ms. Valerie is going to introduce our special guest today.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I am so excited. I always get excited when I'm with my sisters in labor in ATU. Get excited about Sandra. This is her podcast. Thank you, Sandra, so much for sponsoring us. Today I'm delighted and excited. I have my president, my international president, my ATU International Women Caucus president, my ATU International Vice President. You know, when you go around your family, you feel big. You feel big and strong. So today I feel big and strong because I have my big sisters on here. So the first one we're going to introduce is no other than Jackie Jetta. So Jackie, she started as a humble. She started humble, and she gonna tell us about how she started and what she is right now. Then Amanda gonna come in after Jackie. So take it over, Jackie.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate it so much. It's a humbling experience to be among women who are in the labor movement. Women who are trying to uplift women like Sandra. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your podcast. I am a humble person, and I started this journey when I was 25 years old, about 40 something years ago, and I started working for Metro, and it was a decision that I had to make, that I wanted to be able to raise my 2 children and get a job that was going to give me security, and one that had a union so that I would have that security, because I came from Arkansas and I had lost my job in Arkansas because my child got sick and I had to stay in the hospital with her. So that was my determination when I first moved to Washington, D.C. And I got a job operating the bus with the transit system here. And from that, I stayed a bus operator, and then I went on to the rail, and I became a shop steward and a vice president and financial secretary and a president. And I remained president of our union, the first woman and the first Black woman, for a 4-year term. Four 3-year terms, and over a 12-year period of time. During that time, I also became the president of the ATU International Women's Caucus, and I've been the chair since 2001. Along the way, I met these 2 ladies, Amanda when she was the president of her local in Norfolk, and Valerie when she was just a shop steward in New Orleans. So I've known her all through her journey and her path. Along the way, I also became president of our Central Labor Council here in Washington, D.C. I was the first woman to become that, and vice president for CLU. So I've done a couple of things, and I hope during that time, and these 2 ladies can tell me because they're my friends, that I've remained humble, because labor is something that you have to have in your heart. You have to be willing to inspire people on a daily basis and to inspire other women to get involved and do this work, because it's not easy work. It's really not easy work. And women are still trying to find their footing in this movement. You would think by now that women would have a stronghold, but until you get out of the realm, or get into the ring, I should say, with other men and other labor leaders, you find that it's not that many women there with you. And hopefully, prayerfully, during this 20-something year journey, I've been able to uplift other women so that they do get involved and they're still here. So, and I've moved on a little bit because I've retired from being president, but I'm still very active, and I still do this because you don't retire from the union. You only retire from the job that gave you the pension. You don't retire from the union. You're ATU for life. So that's where I am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have Miss Amanda.
Welcome.
Miss Amanda.
Hello, ladies.
Are you muted?
Amanda Sawyer Turner. Can you hear me? Amanda Sawyer Turner. Yeah, A2 International Vice President.
We can hear
I
you,
started off
Amanda.
as a bus operator in 1999 at Hampton Roads Transit.
Actual recording is high. I don't know why.
Can you hear me now?
In session for all leave studio. I don't know what in the world. I don't know why we couldn't hear her the first time. Where's she on mute?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
There you
Okay.
go. We can hear you
There you
now.
go.
We hear you now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can hear me now? Okay. Amanda Sawyer Turner. I'm ATU International Vice President. I started off as a bus operator for Hampton Roads Transit based out of Norfolk, Virginia in like 1999. Kudos to me because March 1st of this year marked my 25th, year anniversary in the transit industry. In 2012, I ran for shop steward because my predecessor just didn't have the passion that you're supposed to have when you're representing employees. A year and a half later, I was nominated president, ran against 5 men, beat him out on the first round because we found out that he had misappropriated funds. So when I started my tenure and when I started off as president, I came in to the labor movement fighting for the empowerment and the betterment of the people. I since served as ATU president of the Legislative Conference Board, also the vice president for the Eastern District AFL-CIO, secretary for our Eastern Virginia Labor Council, and went on, to partake in volunteer programs like the Hope Foundation, and I also participated in the Asa Philip Randolph Hampton Roads chapter as their secretary. As Miss Jackie stated, I know her very well. She was actually someone who inspired me. I partake in her shop steward class in DC. And within the labor movement, you have to be around people that inspire you, that wants you to do better. And I see that in a lot of the women that surround me. And as ATU International Vice President, that's something that I want to continue to execute. And I've been in this position since 2022. And just going around, to the different locals representing the South.
Right.
And if anybody know anything about the South, it is. And I was told, Amanda, if you can work the South, you can work anywhere. But let me tell you, as a woman, a Black woman working in the South, sometimes it can be difficult. But it's one of labor's values that I carry with me everywhere I go. And that's my strength to fight. My strength to fight and represent my people. So the labor movement is about empowerment. We should always empower each other as women. And I always say, accept each other regardless of your flaws. We're here to help one another, and that's just what it is. And
Okay.
that's
Thank
about
you,
it.
and
That's
welcome
all
to
I
the
have to
pot.
say for right
Thank you,
Okay.
now.
Gumbo Pot. So Valerie, can you remind us of what
Thank
the
you.
theme and topic is today? And then I think we can all speak to it from a personal level and what that means to each of us.
Okay, so today's episode is about women. It's about women inspiring each other and telling us we are valuable. Everything and everyone that God created is valuable. It's up to us to develop that gift. It's up to us to live in that purpose. It's up to us to plant or sow good seeds in someone else. So we are focused on this month about female. We are focused on grabbing each other's hand, grabbing my sister's hand, and lifting her up. Just like these young ladies did for me. When I came and met Jackie, I was wet behind my ears. I always was getting very emotional, right? I said getting very emotional. Then went to the pension meeting. I saw Amanda. Amanda just grabbed me and hugged me. I was getting emotional again, Jackie, right? So, but nevertheless, that us in labor stick together as female, that we bounce off of each other, we strengthen each other, and this was just about telling each other that we are valuable, we are important, we are inclusive. We have to present ourselves as intelligent, beautiful young ladies that we are. Because Mel would try to get on our emotion side, right? Jackie said, stiff it up. She said, Valerie, stiff it up. You are smart. You are bold. So you can do it. So guess what I did? I went in there stiffing it up. I went in there and learned a book because she said you got to learn the books. You got to know the contract. You got to know the policies. You know. Then here come Queen Amanda gonna tell me, say, well, Valerie, what's the contract say? You go by the contract. Stick with the contract. And so on that note, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about us as females are valuable. We're more valuable when we know what we speak and we speak what we know, and no one cannot take that from us. Then I want to pass it on to Jackie because she had taught so many women. She had taught us so much because she believed in. I can tell you because I've been on weed for over 25 years, right? So we had to go to class. We didn't just have Amanda. We just didn't have conference, right? Just to have a good time. No, in the daytime we had to go to class. We had to go to training class. On Saturday we had to wear whites, and it's good to be obedient. It's good to submit under authority because who knows, you might need that person to help you grab your hand once again. So Jackie, can you tell us, inspire us some more, please?
Well, I when we were talking about the topic and I thought about women are valuable, all too often in this business, women don't know the value. They don't know the value that they come with, and they don't know the value that they have. I started as an operator in 1979, and so there weren't that many women. We were treated, we had, unisex bathrooms. We had situations where they treated us like we were just a piece of meat. And unfortunately, a lot of our own brothers didn't want us there either. They felt like, we were supposed to stay home and raise kids, and we were taking jobs that were male oriented jobs. And one of the things that I know for a fact is that nobody can take from you the information and the knowledge that you have. And if you're going to be a part of this labor movement, but the labor movement and any other movement, the first thing you have to do is educate yourself on what it is you're doing. Because I know Amanda and I know Valerie, and you probably too, Sandra, felt the same way. I don't want somebody to give me anything. Don't give it to me. Don't vote for me just because I'm a pretty face. I want you to vote for me because you think I'm the
Right.
best person for the job. And, I thump my chest and say, out of all of the elections that I ran in from 94 all the way up to my last one, I think the last election I actually ran in was 15 or something like that. Or maybe it was 18 when I ran for president of the AFL-CIO, I never lost an election. But it wasn't because how they say you lay on your back and you sleep your way up to the top. None of that. I knew my job. I knew about the pension plan. I knew about the health and welfare plan. I knew about grievances. I knew about the arbitration process and all of that. So I educated myself on learning our craft. Not only did I learn how to be a bus operator and train operator and an interlocking operator, but I also learned how to be a steward. And up until the day I left, and really now, because I'm still active in the union, learning how to be a good steward. I had a mentor, and he said to me that in this business, you have to look beyond a person's faults and see their needs. And that's the value that you bring to the table, because when you're able to, because people, when you're dealing with people and you're dealing with, the problems that people sometimes run into and have, you have to learn to have compassion. And oftentimes it's hard because it's about rules and regulations and, whether they broke them or didn't break them. And then what can you do to help them or assist them with whatever situation or problem they have. So looking beyond the faults that they might have had, like you might have done it, but let me see if I can do something that'll help you out in this instance to help you get your job back if you're terminated or, reduce the suspension or whatever. And women, I still teach to every woman that's a part of our local that you bring the value to the table of compassion and knowledge and experience. And that's what you have to be the best you can be in order to be that value. The Women's Caucus, like in our own local, we help with voters registration. We go out and knock on doors. We help with the vote, the voting process period. APRI, they have people that they put in the polls and things of that nature. So there's so many different jobs that women can do. And the value that we bring is being able to do it. And I can honestly say the sisters are stepping up to the plate. I can remember when there was the ATU only had 35% women. And that was all across the United States and Canada. And that number is up. And that number is up because we've shown our value. We've placed ourselves in positions. I know when, a lot of men, women would come to the Women's Caucus, they would feel like we were teaching them to take their jobs, and we weren't. We were teaching them how the job is supposed to be done. And if they chose to put their hat in the ring and run for the position, well and good. But even now in our political history that's going on in this country, if more women got involved, then maybe, some of the things that are going on wouldn't be going on. So we do have value and we have worth.
Yeah,
Good.
definitely agree with that.
Thank you. So, Amanda.
So let me say this. My experiences as a labor leader, a woman union president, as Miss Jackie stated, I was also the first woman to be elected in my local, the youngest, to take over. But when I was there, and even now, as a leader,
Right.
you're like their mother, you're their union president, you're their confidant, you're their educator, you're all of the above. And in order to execute those duties, you have to have strength. You have to be a good listener,
Right.
and understand and have compassion. And you also have to be committed. Because if it's not in your heart, you're not going to make it in this movement. You're not going to make it. And one thing that I've learned is also your integrity and character has to be intact.
Right.
Because if not, you won't have the respect. I had somebody ask me one time, Amanda, do you want power or do you want respect? I asked for respect.
Right.
But
That's right.
now looking back, you can't have one without the other. And so That that is how I live from day to day basis. I capitalize everything off of my character. I can stand corrected, but
Mm-hmm.
if it's
Mm-hmm.
not of character to me, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. And as far as being an educator, I've always taken back what I've learned to my board, and now as an IVP, even if I attend a steward training or even finishing a trade union program, I bring it back to the locals that I have,
Mm-hmm.
the locals that I assist, because my duty is to not only empower the women but empower everybody that I work with, anybody that's in the realm of the industry that I assist. I want to educate them because it's like they're not a replica of me, but being that I'm the IVP, I'm symbolic when it comes to that. Who is your IVP? IVP Amanda Sawyer Turner. When they say that, I want them to say it with grace. I want them to be proud. So I said all that to say, as an IVP, my duty is to assist everybody within
Mm-hmm.
this organization, not just the people I work with. It'll be even Miss Jackie. She didn't taught all of us. She didn't led all of us. Been an example to all of us. But every day we can
Mm-hmm.
all learn something from somebody. We can
Right.
all learn something
Okay.
Right.
from somebody.
Okay, now y'all telling us about
All of
the
us.
labor, how faithful you are about the labor,
Yeah.
and you all don't know that you have lots of women appreciate you all, what you all took, what you all taking right now for the betterment for the present and the future. But can you all tell us just a little bit something about your how do it impact your family for your family time, your family, your encouragement from your family and your friends, because I know they see you uh doing this at home, doing this at work, if they seeing you that what we don't see. So can you all tell us about how this impact your family?
It is oh, you want me
Well,
it 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 is a
go ahead, Miss. No,
difficult
you go.
chore. It really is, because as a woman leader, you also have to show strength on a regular basis, and sometimes strength is not taken for the sake of strength, but it's taken for something else. You have two hats that you wear. You're a wife and mother, and you're also the president of a local. Like for my local, I was president of the largest local in the United States. And so with that came, a certain amount of power, a certain amount, and I call it power, but a certain amount of assertiveness that had to go on, especially when you're negotiating contracts and all of that. So the first time I didn't do so good in my relationship, I became involved in the union, and because you're gone, because you're constantly on the phone, because your time is not necessarily your time. Being in transit as it is, you mostly work weekends and holidays and things of that nature. And then once I became a part of the labor movement, that just started all over again, and it compounded times 10. And so the first marriage wasn't so good. The second one, I lucked up because I married a person who was also involved in the same business that I was involved in. And I've been married to him now for 22 years. And it impacts your children. I think that, it's one thing, the dynamic of the relationship, but it also impacts your children, because my children grew up in the labor movement. They probably know ATU Local 689 just as well as I do. But there are times when, like now, they will say to me, well, you're retired, so when are you going to give us all of your time? Because you're still giving it to the union, so there's always a juggling act that I think women have to go through that men possibly do not. because we are the wives and the mothers, and it can take a toll. But also, I think with communication and understanding, you you can go through it. If you have an understanding spouse, you can really make it through, and the understanding of your children. And with mine, I just make them a part of what I do. Amanda,
Yeah, yeah, and here,
she,
yeah, I don't see Miss Valerie, but it can be challenging. Um, when I was president, I had the luxury of allowing my son to attend a lot of the trainings and the rallies and anything that I was assigned to. He was right there with me. But my mom was alive, and so my mom was able
mm-hmm,
to help me raise him, while I was in transit, because in this industry, you need help. If you have a child that's under 18, you just can't do it with,
right,
working nights, having to work every weekend, or, you know, you need that support system. But now, as an ATU International Vice President, my husband is very supportive, you know, which is a plus. But
mm-hmm,
I've learned how to manage my time. I've learned how to say, okay, at least one weekend out the month, I have to give this time to my husband. So as long as I'm taking the initiative, he's more
yeah,
understanding. But
mm-hmm,
it's kind of hard to balance it, when duty calls. When duty calls, but he understands. So you
right,
have to have
right,
a husband or
right.
a spouse that has empathy. He can empathize with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
And
son is
and
grown,
with my part,
so
if I
that's
was
another
out until
blessing.
2 o'clock in the morning, he was out until two
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning too. We're doing the same work, so it made it much, much easier, much, much easier. Yeah.
And just now, me just getting there from Knoxville, I was telling Miss Valerie, getting there from Knoxville on Friday, and tired and exhausted, and my husband, and knowing that I had to come straight to Carolina because I had meetings here, and then had to
Mm-hmm.
attend the membership meeting, and my husband was like, "I'll just drive you," So we
Right.
get in our time anywhere we can, and that's why I'm in the car, talking to
Right.
you
Yeah.
all on my way back home to get ready for the following week.
Right.
So you have
Thank
to have
you. Thank
a
you,
support
both of you all,
system, and my
Jackie
husband
and
supports
Amanda,
me
for
totally.
sharing y'all personal family life, because you didn't have to do it, but I'm glad, because I come up against, some women saying, they need the support from their families and their friends. They want to be committed. But at the same time, I said, well, you committed with something else. Why you can't be committed with your livelihood? All the time we make up excuses. But if you're really committed and you want to make this a
Mm-hmm.
better place for ourselves in the next generation, somebody's going to have to sacrifice, just like our forefathers sacrificed before us. Then we have ladies in politics, we have ladies in labor sacrifice for us. So everybody's going to have to sacrifice to make it better for each generation. And also, I just want to put out there, we do have other sisters with the ATU. We have Michelle, we have Natalie, and also we have our executive IVP, excuse me, Yvette. So I just want to give a shout out to them. We
Mm-hmm.
really appreciate them. We love them as well. So we thank you all for coming on. Do you all want to have one last word, Jackie and Amanda, to give someone who is down, feel like that they're not gonna make it, feel like they've been attacked? You want to encourage them just to move a little further, just go a little further, just go a little further.
Well,
Jackie.
the way that you're able to
Well,
overcome anything is by putting one foot in front of the other. I have daughters. I have a lot of daughters, and between my husband and I, we have a blended family. And one of the things that I tell them is that you're okay. You're allowed to be depressed for 24 hours. After that, you got to figure out a way to get over whatever it is you're going through and put one foot in front of the other. You may not have all of the answers, but you can't sit there and be depressed about something that you haven't even tried to fix yet. So with that, I say that to the women all over the United States. This is a trying time. I mean, you look at some of the obstacles that we're facing. I was inspired by the president's message the other night, but I also had to think about, how do we get here? How do we get back into this place where we've turned the clocks back 50 years, and some of the voting rights bills that are being passed, and all of that we're facing as women. I feel that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We're the ones that can make this better. And it only takes us standing up, getting involved. I don't care whether, of course, with Amanda and I and Valerie, we're involved with the union, but how about something else? There is the NAACP, there's a Coalition of Labor Union Women, there's APRI, there's so many different organizations out there that you can be a part of. I don't care whether it's the DNC, just DCC or whatever it's called. So just get involved in something. Get involved in your neighborhood. Get involved in, if it's go to your ANC meetings. Get involved some kind of way to make this world a better place, because we're the ones that we're waiting for. And if you want change, just don't talk about change, be the change.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. Amanda?
Yes. I just want to say, whatever, any woman out here that's listening, whatever you do, make sure it's done from the heart. A lot of people will talk about what they're going to do, and a lot of people do it, and it's not really, coming from the heart. Stay committed, and just always know that be quick to listen and slow to speak.
Yeah.
Quick to listen and slow to speak. Always listening and learning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just
Okay,
my words of
thank you. Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, Amanda, for being our guest on this episode. I'm gonna turn you over to Miss Sandra. We really appreciate you, the ATU Women Caucus of NOLA. Thank you for being our sponsor. We pray that God blesses upon you and your podcast, and you keep on doing a great thing, because you are awesome. You are making a platform for us to come, for we can have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
So you are valuable, and we really appreciate you. Thank you again.
You're very welcome, Miss Valerie. And that's how we're going to end it. I will say this, though, as you all were talking about how it's inspiring women and encouraging women, and how women should feel that they're valuable in this world. I agree with all of that. And you all, the three of you, as women of labor, I've not been a part of any type of unions. In fact, because I think I am an artist by heart, I work in different backgrounds. So I've had different jobs. I went from industry to industry. I've done a lot of jobs. And so the last 13 years I've been in this career of grants management, which is an administrative function. So in that, I've been able to mentor and mold a lot of young women who have come behind me as entry level staff workers, and who look up to me, and I had the opportunity to kind of guide them and motivate them and kind of get them on career paths, and to just be encouraged and to be patient with themselves as well, because I think that's very important out here, because nowadays we have a lot of young women who are so anxious to like get to the bag or to make a name for themselves, and in doing so they leave out a lot of the critical skills that are needed to be in these jobs. So I encourage the young women out there today to stay focused, stay steadfast, find a goal or a career path that interests you, and just find someone to mentor you in your career paths out there in the world. And so that's it for me. That's I have to say, and I think I use this platform to motivate, and that's how I started the Stirring the Gumbo Pot, motivating women, to the older women, to not let your dreams go undone, or
Mm-hmm.
trying to attempt to go out and at least make an effort to
Mm-hmm.
pursue your dreams to a certain degree. Now, some things, yeah, we got big dreams, but some things, if you can manage to get it done and get people to help you to see out to your dreams, then by all means do it. Don't ever
Right.
let the fact that you're older um justify you not doing it. So that's all I have for my inspiration and encouragement for the women today. And that's how we're going to end this episode of the Stirring the Gumbo Pot podcast. Thank you very much, Miss Jackie and Miss
Yeah.
Valerie, for joining me again today. And again, my podcast can be found on Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. I am your host, D. Cajun Pete, and thank you all for joining me today. Typically, I would read a poem at this point, and today I decided to just venture off the poetry road a little bit, and I'm gonna do a reading from a book of devotions by my spiritual mother, Iyanla Banzan, and it's from the book Until Today, Daily Devotions for Spiritual Growth and Peace of Mind. And this book is it's a dated book for each day. Today is March 10th. And so I'm going to read the reading for March 10th. And for each month, it has months, which has a theme, and then it also is dated. So the month of March talks about awareness and being aware. And since we are celebrating Women's History Month, I thought it was appropriate to read something about being aware to our sisters. So here you go. March 10th. I open my heart and mind to be aware. If I walk in the footsteps of the Master, I will master true self. Jesus the Christ had a goal, to serve God. On that goal, he remained focused. He had a purpose to teach love. On that purpose, he remained focused. He had a mission to demonstrate to people how to lovingly serve each other while serving God. To that mission alone, he gave all of his energy. In his own words, he revealed the power of having a purpose when he said, "Well, for this purpose was I born." In essence, Jesus was saying to us, when your life is for a purpose, you will rise above all difficulties. Focus on the goal. Focus on the purpose. Focus on accomplishing the goal. Each day, hundreds of thousands of people get out of bed with no goal. Going to work is not a goal. It is an activity. Paying bills is not a purpose. It is an activity. Providing for a family is not a mission. It is an activity. Your goal is the what of your life. The goal is not the place you begin. It is the place you end up. Your purpose is the why of your life. Why you as an individual are moving toward the goal, the end. Your mission is the how of your life. Once you are clear about the what, the why, and the how, you have a focus. You have something to live for that moves you into, through, and out of the activities of your life. We were each born for the same purpose. Jesus was clear. He was focused. He mastered his mind and his life with focus. He was kind enough to leave us instructions on how to do what he did. He said, "Follow me. For the things I have done, greater things than this shall you do." Until today, you may not have been aware that the master teacher left you instructions. You may not have realized he said, "Do as I have done." Stay focused. Just for today, shift your attention from the activities of your daily life and discover your goal, your purpose, and your mission. Today, I have devoted to following in the footsteps of the master teacher. Well, that wraps up another episode of the Stirring the Gumbo Pot podcast. I really appreciate you all listening in and for being a supporter of the show. So in the spirit of Don Cornelius, I wish you all love, peace, and gumbo!
Too lit, who gon' check? You can tell me none. Boss mode in effect, and my money long. If you ain't talking money, don't talk to me.